Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 94 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So something happens when we hit our mid-30s or 40s, 50s, maybe even our 60s. We start to think about this next chapter of our lives and our careers, and we wonder what we should do next and if it's too late to do something else with all of this time that we have. And maybe it's because you're experiencing burnout, or maybe it's because you're bored or you've lost your passion, but either way, it can feel daunting to change your work when you're not sure what's next. And today we're going to talk about how to think about your next career and how to start your next chapter. And so the other day I was organizing my house and I was tackling what I felt were the quote unquote tough areas, which for us were the art area. It consisted of a table, a bench, lots of art and craft supplies, and my daughter's rooms as well. And what I realized was that it wasn't that kids are inherently messy. It was that they lacked structure and they've outgrown certain parts of their room and the ways that they've done things. And they didn't know where to store or put all these different toys and books and supplies that were now a part of their life. And we hadn't reorganized the rooms or these areas, and we had just made do with the mess. And it wasn't a problem per se, but messiness itself comes from a lack of being organized. And we don't know where things go or where things belong as things change. And the same goes for our work. Your life might have changed. Your expectations of what you want from life might have changed. The world around you might have changed. And it opens up what feels like this Pandora's box and what feels very disorganized and a place that we haven't been before. And when we look at an entirely new career, it feels like a giant open question mark. It feels like it's something so large that it's this big looming decision that we don't want to make, so we put it off. And we keep thinking about how scary it feels to do something new and different. And since we human beings don't like feeling scared and not safe, we would rather feel safe in our current jobs and safe in our world. There is a very common thing that we do, which is that we are more willing to stay in the safety of what we do know than the unsafety of what we don't know, even if you feel uncomfortable in both places. So just a thought to ponder. And most people are actually really disengaged with their work. There was a Gallup survey that showed that number as high as upwards of 60%. And if you're feeling ready to shift careers, then you might be in that 60%. And sometimes we don't even realize that we are disengaged because we are so busy filling up our days or our weekends with distractions to make ourselves feel better for working so much or for so long or without much interest. And we also feel bad that we aren't happier because we quote unquote should be happier. We have a good job and it pays the bills, so why not? But the call of your next career isn't about getting to this idea of quote unquote good. It becomes about something more. And here's how to know if you're ready to change careers. The first question you can ask yourself is, do you desire to find work that gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, and you feel that you're not finding it in your current work today? Do you want a different kind of lifestyle that is structurally not found in the work you currently do? And that's the second question. So certain kinds of roles and work have different kind of lifestyle commitments or requirements based on the kind of work that's done. The third question is, do you want to grow and learn something entirely different? And the fourth is, do you feel like you're chronically stressed or exhausted from your work? And if you're answering yes to most of these questions, then it's likely time that you think about making a switch. One of the questions that come up for a lot of folks is this one. Well, what if I don't know what I want to do? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. And the funny thing about making the change is that people think that they have to know exactly what they want before contemplating the career change. And I remember when I started my career change, the first one, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted something different. And whether you realize it or not, this is a powerful decision. That alone, the desire for something different, is enough to get started. Not knowing what to do is overwhelming. And when we get overwhelmed, our brains tend to freeze in two different ways. We either enter into hypoactive states like analysis paralysis, or hyperactive states where we overwork ourselves. We try to do all the things. And neither one is optimal for decision making. Neither one actually moves you forward efficiently and productively. And this is why getting help and outside perspective and taking that first step can help move us out of overwhelm. When my clients ask me this question, we solve it by deciding what to do next. It doesn't mean they immediately have the answer, but they know what to do next to start discovering, creating, and deciding on this next chapter in their life. And we do this from a place of resourcefulness and calm that is optimal for our decision-making faculties. It is a fallacy that you have to be stressed to get yourself into an optimal situation to make a decision. You do have to realize the consequences of the choices you are making in staying at your current job or lack of job. But that's different from feeling stressed. Yet, many people operate their entire lives thinking that they work best when stressed. So really question that thought and that line of thinking, because it is keeping you from a healthy way of working and a healthy way of making decisions. You could make decisions without stress and fear driving you constantly. You could be achieving a lot more than you are and having a much bigger return on the investment that you put into the work that you do today or tomorrow if you removed this chronic stress and fear that is driving you. So just notice that if that's the way we work, that's also the way we think about all work and the decisions that we have to make about our work as well. And that oftentimes keeps us from making the optimal decisions. So really question that thought again. Without knowing what you want to do you just not do anything? And so then the second question is, what if I'm feeling like it's too late? It never feels like a good time to make a change, especially when we feel time is not on our side. Many times we don't do what we want to do because we feel it's too late. We think that too many years have gone by and we don't want to start over. And I remember this one quote that I repeated in my head when I began my career change as I did. It was in my 30s and I was like, well, I've gotten MBAs in this. I've gone to school for this. I've spent years learning these things. But then this quote came to mind, which is, the time will pass anyways. The time will pass anyways. Repeat that to yourself every day, all day long if you need to. What are you waiting for? If you actually know that you want to make a change, are you waiting for more time? That's not going to happen. You are not getting more time. Time is the one thing that you will not have any more of. So time is a feeling and it is also a mindset. So through the decisions you make, you create an abundance of time. Everyone has 24 hours a day, and yet there are drastically different ways to approach these 24 hours and dramatically different results from the way we use our 24 hours. So our relationship with time is going to affect how we feel about how much time we have in our lives and whether it is enough for what we want to do next. Whether it is a 2-hour activity you are trying to fit in or a 5-year activity, Whether or not it takes you one day to make this job change, or maybe it takes you years. There are people who are in their 30s and feel like it's too late to make a change. There are people in their 60s who feel like now is the perfect time. So it's not about the time. Really think about that. It's about our relationship with time and what we want to do in our time. The time will pass anyways. So what do you want to do in the time you have? And so the more appropriate question to ask yourself is, how do I want to spend my time? Not, what if it's too late? All right. Another common thing that comes up as people start to think about this next chapter in their lives, their next career, is money. Money, money, money. What if I'm not going to make enough money, but I have bills to pay, I have a mortgage, I have kids, I have loans, I have real student debt that I need to pay off. Whatever it is, there's always a situation where money comes up. And I love this topic of money because it brings up so many concerns for people, which is why it is a huge opportunity for even more abundance in your life. If you worry about money and it's a constant underlying concern, this idea of enough money is going to be present when you think about your next career. So whether you realize it or not, money controls many aspects of your life. It doesn't have to, but it likely does. It controls the people you spend time with. Think about that. It controls the way you spend your time. Are you not going to do this or do that as a result of how much money and how much enoughness you feel is in your life? The way we treat others who have less money or more money is also likely influenced by the way you think about money and the decisions you make about the work you do in your life is also likely influenced by money. And when we follow the money, we are admittedly prioritizing money over other things. We may even know that we are doing this intentionally so that we can build a sense of safety or security in our lives. Isn't it wrong? There's a next level thinking that I challenge my clients on with this, but it isn't wrong to start to think about safety or security, but changing careers comes from a different place than safety and security. You have realized at this point that you create safety and security. The job does not create safety and security. You create it. You are the one who got the job. You're the one who will go out and get another job. If I told you tomorrow that you were losing your job, you would figure it out. So it's not the job that gives you safety and security. It's you. And so when you don't have that mindset, you hang on to the job, thinking it's the job when it's really you. And so if it's really you, then you get to decide, what do you want to have in your life, the standards you want to keep, the challenges you want to explore. And this is an open question, but a good open question. And when you start to think about changing careers, there's a part of you that is starting to see this, that you aren't valuing safety and security from the job itself as much. You're having a little bit more certainty inside yourself that you're the one that creates it. And figuring out what you want to do next usually follows this progression of moving from safety and security from an external source to growth and impact from your internal self. You want to contribute more of yourself or learn more about who you are and what you want to do through the work you do in your life. And work really is an extension of the way we spend time. It's nothing more than that. And I encourage you guys, because work is a huge part of so many of our lives, that people get caught up in the work being the biggest and the only thing and realize later on the whole idea of, well, I never, thought I should at the end of my life. The thing that doesn't come up is I should have spent more time in the office, or I should have spent more time working. It's how much time did I spend doing what I wanted to do? Did I leave these dreams left inside me unfulfilled? Is there music left that I didn't play inside of me? Did I spend time with the people that I wanted to spend time with? And so really take this end of life approach as you think about this question of what do I do next? It can mean so much more than just work. It's a way that you are spending your time, and it can be an extension of the values that you have, the purpose that you feel your life is here for, and the way that you want to show up in the world. So when you are at this place about wanting to grow more and contribute more, it's not just about the money anymore. Really consider if you would be willing to make the same or less money and why. And it's a strategic thing to think this way. I think sometimes there's this idea that you just have to take this leap and go, and don't think that it won't work out, because that's negative thinking. But I encourage you guys to actually think about risks, and not from a place of spiraling in and taking no action, but a place of, let me see what I can do to solve for that. So that it's not just a risk that looms in my mind as a fear, but it's an actionable thing that I can work through. You can save some money. You can look at your expenses. You can live differently. And it's actually a beautiful challenge, because what it does is, just like the pandemic has shaped our lives in many different ways, and we realized that we didn't have to have the things we really thought we would have had to have to do work in the ways we thought it had to be done. The same thing goes for our lives. We realized that there were certain things we were spending time on that weren't as important, and there were also things that we actually really do value. So when you make this career change, you can actually look at it as a way of completely reshaping the way that you approach life. And if you've come from a place of money fears, money worries, money beliefs, this might be a perfect time to reshape those to a healthier place, really questioning, digging down into all the places where you hesitate to make certain decisions because money is driving it. And so actually thinking about what it would look like to make the same amount of money or less is something that you can think about and you can plan for. It doesn't mean it will happen, but it does mean that you know what you value right now more than the money, and you have a deep sense of certainty why that matters to you. And when I work with clients on this part, money can feel like a real sticking point. So I am empathetic to it. And I had the same concerns. When you start to achieve and you get paid more and more and more, it feels really weird to say, I'm going to take a pay cut to choose a different lifestyle, or I'm going to make the same amount. Or you do the comparison game where you look around and you say, well, these people graduated at the same time as I did, or these people followed the same careers as I did, and look where they are now. And I will tell you that that is just not a race that you want to play. And when we coach together, my clients and I, you guys run your own races. It is you against no one. It serves no one, not even yourself, to even start to do that comparison thing. So I encourage you to release a lot of that drama and realize that your fear and your security or insecurity may come from places that are not as rational as they may feel at the time. So really question whether this is a real concern for you or not. Do you really need the money that you're making to be double, triple, 10 times? Do you really not? And then if you do want to make more money, it has nothing to do with your self-worth. It has nothing to do with your status and the feeling that you have in your body. It is just literally energy and money moving around. You get to feel safe. You get to feel secure. You get to feel whole no matter what. And that is the challenge around money. And there's often a lot of work to do to hold that belief that they or you already have enough money and more than enough money. But this work is really important because it is often the crux of why you aren't making changes quickly or at the speed you desire. So self-discovery and creating your next identity can be rooted in fear. And when we work from that place of fear, we actually create versions of ourselves that aren't really inspiring enough to make a change in our lives, which is why we stay stuck exactly where we are with a lot of thoughts and ideas, but no real decision. So I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for us to work on our money beliefs. Okay. And then this last question always comes up that people ask, which is like, how do I know when to quit my job? I can do a whole podcast just on this topic alone, but I'll start with a little bit here. The willingness to start over can either be this feeling of dread or this feeling of elation. And I work with my clients to really understand how to watch their brains as they do anything hard, new, or different, because this will determine their ability to achieve the results that they desire. And the right time to quit a job or start a new one is not a one-size-fits-all approach. There are a set of several questions that must be answered and criteria to help determine when it's time. And there are also people who have different risk tolerances and therefore different decision-making approaches. Some people who love to just burn the boats and make the decision to leave a job before they have the next one. They live out there and they are among you. You might not feel like you're one of them, but they're there. And some people know that they have to do that, otherwise they will never leave. But others don't think this way, and they don't have to quit their jobs in order to find more fulfillment in their lives. So either way, it will change for you depending on the situation you are currently facing in your life. You're going to say, May, well, if it isn't that I have to leave this job because it's terrible, why would I leave in the first place? And that is a brilliant question, right? If you can find fulfillment and meaning anywhere, including in terrible situations, why bother making a change? And what I will tell you is this: when things are already amazing, you are now moving from what's amazing to what's even more amazing, what has even more potential, what feels like the natural next step. And that is a great place to make decisions from. So don't think that because you're not suffering that you don't have a decision to make to decide what kind of potential you want to live into in your life or how much of life you want to experience. That is always available to you, no matter if you think you have lots of problems and need a lot of help with figuring out the next step, or you don't feel like you have a lot of problems but would love to help figure out the next step because it is a beautiful opportunity to live a more beautiful or expansive life on your own terms. So either way, it depends on your situation. So you want to take into consideration your current lifestyle and the changes you will make if you leave something to start something else. And you also want to take into account how much money, time, or skills you need to start something new, if any. And I work with my clients to make shifts that don't feel overwhelming and scary, even if they seem like that to an outsider. But for my clients, they feel like they're rather weirdly obvious and yet exciting. And I think that's like a funny thing to notice, but it's so true. Obvious decisions are the best ones. They are the natural decision that will create the most momentum for you. Yet they don't feel scary because you see exactly why it would work. So we build a core understanding of your strengths, your values, the desires for what you want next, and then a personal strategy map that takes into account multiple possibilities for what's next, so that the decision of what's next isn't because that's the only one, but because it's the obvious one based on the criteria that you've defined. So this is an art and this is a science, but one that creates clarity when we need it the most. And making the leap from one line of work to another one can feel ambiguous and uncertain. And we need to create clarity in order for us to make the move and have that fulfilling next chapter. And that clarity is out there and it exists. So in summary, I'm going to wrap this up. You are at a beautiful time right now. Your next career and thinking about it is an exciting thing to experience, this place of making this transition. You will remember it later on because that first year of you making this shift and change is always such a growth one. And the next year is going to be a different kind of growth as you settle into this newfound identity and start to embody it even more. And whether you are in your first career change or your third or your fourth, now is the best time to start. You are just beginning your journey, and that is Such an exciting thought. So if you want to learn more about career changes or any of the topics that I talked about today and how you can experience some of your own transformation in your own life, you can schedule a free coaching consultation today. And you can go to www.mayamson.com/contact to learn more. So I love you, my friends. Have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. It'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.